This is super embarrassing to even post.
Question for the people that have successfully gotten through a divorce.
When you get married, then everything that you earn.
I'm sitting here trying to pull myself together. This is super embarrassing to even post something like this, but it's real. Can we normalize being sad even though, like, your divorce is necessary? Because no one gets married with the intention of getting a divorce, and, like, you marry that person, and then they turn out to be just not what you... at least not what you thought. Maybe that is how they were from the jump, but you didn't know. And then you have kids, and it makes it super hard. Which me and my husband did not have kids together, but like we were part of each other's lives for 7 years. That's a long time. And like I'm trying to watch my kid play ball right now, and I'm having a meltdown in my car, and it's so embarrassing. But can we normalize being sad even if your divorce is necessary? Because like I can act like a bad bitch all day and that I'm better than that, and I know I deserve better and all of that, but like I didn't want this. I just wanted you to be better. I'm going through all of the things right now. Anyways, I'll be back on my bad bitch energy tomorrow maybe, but today I'm having a moment, and this is real and raw and embarrassing, but we'll be fine. Me and Avery are gonna be good. It's gonna be fine. Love y'all, bye.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
There's an interesting statistic. About 50% of first marriages fail, around 67% of second marriages, and roughly 73% of third marriages. It just gets worse. This woman, with a kid from a previous relationship, gets married again. The guy gives her 7 years, raises someone else's child, and doesn't even have kids of his own with her. If a man doesn't have kids with you, he's just a temporary plan B, and that's why it ended in a divorce filed by her. That's why a lot of men avoid single mothers. It's a high-risk investment of time, effort, and money, and there's no way in hell they'd sign a contract she can break whenever she wants. I'm not buying her tears. If it's her second divorce, she's not clueless. She's experienced. She's not crying over the ex. She's crying over her personal failure, the shame of breaking down in the car, and above all, the real fear. Who the hell is going to be the next beta provider I can fool into marrying me? With 2 divorces and hitting the wall, it's a tough sell. Because the wall doesn't forgive.
Question for the people that have successfully gotten through a divorce. Is it normal to see babies and feel so mad at them? Like, happy families? I am packing my apartment, and it's just bringing up a lot of really sad memories. Packing our vow books, congratulations cards, things like that. And it just makes me think of the timeline of where I wanted to be right now. Like, thinking I would be pregnant right now. There's a playground outside of my window in my apartment complex, and just like seeing kids and like seeing families is like fucking killing me. Which is so weird because anytime I've wanted to get pregnant in the past, it hasn't happened. I've been like, I'm so happy for everyone that it's happening for. But like right now, I can't even look like on my For You page. Like, if there's like people talking about their fertility journeys or people who are pregnant, like I literally like can't even look. Like it's making me so upset. And yeah, it's weird to cry on the internet, but I don't know. I just feel like I can't be the only one dealing with this. And I feel like the different waves of emotion mourning this marriage have been happening every day, but today the family one really came out, and like feeling really alone, and then hearing people complaining about all their like kid stuff and like how they don't get sleep because their baby's awake and stuff. I'm just like, I wish I was dealing with that. I don't know if it makes any sense.
That's probably why he left you. You didn't want to give that man a family. I just don't get people who cry over the very thing they went out looking for. If you wanted the divorce, if you were the one who left him, the one who broke your vows, the one who filed for divorce, why are you crying? You had everything you needed to be happy. The relationship was already there. But the modern woman is always looking over at the neighbor's yard instead of watering her own. That's why you feel this way, because the guilt is eating you up inside. The question of, if I had saved my relationship, I'd still have my family. I've made videos about this woman. Her reason for the divorce was something as shallow as she deserves to be happy. Well, here's your happiness. I just hope it's not too late for you now.
When you get married, then everything that you earn during the marriage is community property. This means all of your time and energy that goes into your income makes it community, and your spouse has an equal right to it, even if they're not contributing. It doesn't matter whose name the assets are in, it is still community, and your spouse gets a right to it. It also doesn't matter whose name the debt is in. If it was acquired during the marriage, your spouse has a right to it. And then higher wage earning spouse is going to be paying lower wage earning spouse some kind of support, whether it's spousal or child or who knows what. But lower wage earning spouse, you are going to be expected to work and become self-supporting. Even if you don't have a job right now, the court is very likely to impute you at minimum wage. Also understand that your spouse that's been earning all of the money, they're probably not going to want it all to go to pay you spousal support. So it's really common, even if it shouldn't be allowed, that the higher wage earning spouse all of a sudden stops earning overtime, gets a lower paying job, all of a sudden goes to the doctor and gets on disability for that issue that they've been having in their back and can't work anymore. And guess what? As soon as that happens, the money that you were expecting for your support for children or for spousal, it's out the window. So just know, if you're getting divorced, your spouse is getting half and you shouldn't be counting on support.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
She's absolutely right about one thing. The community property system and alimony are a brutal trap. That's why I always say alimony should either be abolished or limited to a 1-year transitional period at most. Why the hell should an ex be responsible for supporting you for life if you're no longer his wife? Imagine a high-earning man. Making 6 figures, he gets hit with $1,500 in child support for 2 kids, plus another $1,000 to $1,500 in alimony. He's left with scraps, loses his house, sees his kids 2 days a week, hands over half his savings, and even part of his 401k. Motivation to keep working hard? Zero. He gets slapped with a lifelong financial shackle. If his income goes up, so do the payments. The predictable result? Screw it. He stops putting in extra effort, quits overtime, or switches to a lower-paying job. And here's the worst part. For her, that expected money disappears, including any extras for the kids. The man stops generating wealth that could have benefited the real family. But she doesn't see it. Out of revenge or greed, she ends up cutting off the very branch everyone's sitting on. In the end, it hurts women and children more than the man himself. Because once he has nothing left to lose, he regains his freedom.
I'm sitting here trying to pull myself together to walk into work. But divorcing someone who wants to take more than they already have is... I can't even express the level of exhaustion that I have. But my kids deserve stability. And he's already created so much chaos and uncertainty for the future and financial insecurity. I'm working my ass off to keep the house from being taken away from my kids. My ass off. I have been working my ass off. And all he's been doing is threatening to take it away. And what was supposed to be an uncontested divorce, he has fought me tooth and nail throughout this entire time. From the original agreement that we had. Now he doesn't want to pay child support. And he's hiring a lawyer to take everything else that he thinks is his. Because he is a selfish bastard who hasn't already taken enough. Hasn't already gambled enough. But our kids deserve stability. They deserve their home. They don't deserve any more uncertainty and to be uprooted any more than they already have. So I'm going to continue to fight this bastard, even though I don't have anything left in me. And I am exhausted in a way that I can't even express. But I'm a mom first, and my kids deserve stability in the chaos that he created. So I'm going to fight him.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
If you care so much about your kids' stability, then leave them with their father, in the house he paid for with his hard work, and go get a job to support yourself. You paint him as some selfish monster, but you're after the exact same things: the house, half of everything, custody, and monthly payments. The only difference is your intentions are valid, while his are despicable. That's pure, blatant hypocrisy. A house costs $300,000 or more, years of sweat to pay for it. Why should a man lose it just because you want a divorce? Starting over at 40 or 50, older, worn down, with new debt and less money, while you walk away with the kids, the house, the savings, and alimony. And the worst part? A few months later, you bring a new guy in to enjoy what he built. No, brothers, the fair thing is to sell the house, split it clean, or put it in the kids' names. But letting her keep everything for the sake of stability while he gets buried, that's not justice. That's theft.
Why do men get so salty about paying child support?
Because they think their wives should get a job and support the kids themselves. Most marriages right now, you don't see where they're equal income. Most of the time, it's still where the man makes more money. The parent who has more money is still responsible for paying child support. Men hate it. Why am I the only one that has to support these kids? She should be making what I make. But they forget that if they were in their marriage spending more time at work, climbing that corporate ladder, where was she? The law is not forgiving. The law has no emotions. It's literally a calculation. So unfortunately, you make more money, you can still have joint custody, you're still going to be paying.
I love that narrative, the one where a man supposedly climbs the corporate ladder thanks to a woman. I'd love to see that same story play out in relationships where both partners kept working the whole time, and yet the man still gets destroyed in the divorce just the same. Men don't have a problem paying. Every man and every father knows kids are expensive, and any good father doesn't hesitate to provide for his children. What bothers fathers is when you contribute less, and he still ends up with fewer rights than you. What frustrates fathers is being hit with excessive support payments that everyone knows aren't really for the child. What enrages fathers is when it's their turn to see their kid, and you hide the child, or send them off to grandma's, or make life hell just to block visitation. And when he takes that to a judge, nothing gets done. But if he misses a payment, straight to jail. And if it's the mother, nothing happens at all. That is what makes men furious.
How much alimony would you get if you got divorced in Florida right now? Here's some examples. Many of you know we had a new alimony law that went into effect July 1st, took away permanent alimony, and a lot of people are talking about the law changes, but let's give some practical examples so people out there facing divorce, unfortunately, would actually know what they would be entitled to. Example number 1, you've been married 10 years. That's a moderate term marriage now. You would get durational alimony for 6 years. And if your spouse made $100,000 gross and you made $50,000 gross, the maximum amount of alimony you would get is $1,050. Now, bear in mind, you have to have that much need for that alimony. It's not just a penalty to the other party and a reward for you. You have to prove that you actually have a need to get that much alimony. Example number 2, you've been married 5 years and your spouse makes $200,000 a year and you make $30,000 per year gross income. The maximum durational alimony you could get in that case is $3,500 per month. And the term you could get it for would be 2.5 years in duration. Example number 3, you've been married less than 3 years. How much alimony can you get? For durational alimony is 0. You have to be married at least 3 years. You can get potentially some rehabilitative alimony or some bridge the gap alimony. This isn't as simple as it seems, though. There's a lot of factors that go into this. I already mentioned the need. Also, you have to include your income that you're getting from the assets you're allocated in the divorce. Always get the advice of a qualified family law attorney in your local area. And just remember, this is Florida law. I'm not speaking as to any other state right now. If you live in Florida and you're facing a divorce and you want to tell me what you think your gross incomes are in the comments, I know who would do that. You don't want to share your income on TikTok. But if you did, I'm going to do a few examples and post the response. So let me know. Good luck.
Check this out, brothers. It's always women making videos about alimony directed at other women, because in the vast majority of cases, they're the ones receiving it. Sure, there's a small minority of men who get alimony, less than 3% in the US. But the truth is this law overwhelmingly benefited one side. At least DeSantis signed the reform in 2023 to put an end to permanent alimony and make it temporary and limited. Seriously? If in a divorce you already get half of everything, money, the house, the car, plus custody and child support, why should I have to keep supporting you for life like we're still married? That was legalized robbery, modern-day slavery that forced a lot of men to work themselves into the grave. Imagine paying $3,500 a month indefinitely to your ex. That's more than the rent for a nice house or even a decent government pension. It was a sweet deal for the one receiving it. Now, with durational alimony, it's fair. You get a limited time to get back on your feet, a max of 50 to 75% of the years you were married, and if you waste that chance, you deal with the consequences. Finally, some balance.
Divorce absolutely benefits women more than men, but not for the reason the podcast bros tell you. Following the adoption of no-fault divorce, female unaliving rates dropped 6% immediately and 20% over time. There was no significant change in male unaliving, but domestic violent rates went down for both categories. They also found a decline in women being unalived by their partner. No difference in men. I'm calling this series Everything Men Say is Projection, because the podcast bros will tell you women use divorce as a financial industry. But the reality is men benefit financially from getting married and divorced. Women suffer financial penalties in both. Married men make more money than single men, but married and single women tend to make about the same. And in 1982, studies were showing that divorce actually made men richer, not poorer. And that research was reaffirmed in 2009. The researcher was a man, so all the men can calm down. According to him, the general belief that men get fleeced by their divorces while women get richer and live off the proceeds has long been due for exposure as a pernicious myth. So sure, divorce benefits women more, but not financially. It benefits us because it literally saves our life.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
So let's talk about alimony payments. So what is alimony? Alimony is financial support paid by one ex-spouse to the other after the marriage has legally ended. Now let's think for a few reasons why this might exist. It is very important to remember that until relatively recently in history, women were one, not allowed in the workforce, and two, even when we were allowed to join the workforce, any money that we brought home automatically was transferred to our husbands. Reminder, women could not have their own bank accounts until the 60s. And even then it was incredibly rare. So if only one party legally owns all of the money in the household, I don't think it's that difficult to understand how a manipulative or abusive partner could use that over their partner to force them to stay. So this allowed people the opportunity to get out of an abusive relationship, even if they didn't have access to money. Furthermore, do you know the biggest reason that men do not receive alimony at the same rates as women? Because they don't ask for it. Alimony is not an automatic given during a divorce proceeding. You have to request it. And due to internalized misogyny and not wanting to appear weak, men don't ask for it.
He has a point. Alimony laws were created over 50 to 60 years ago. Back then, they made sense as a financial safety net against abuse. But today, in 2025, with workplace equality and independent women, no-fault divorces disproportionately benefit one side. A woman can divorce you for being bored, walk away with half of everything you built, get child support, and on top of that, receive temporary or even permanent alimony, depending on the state. That's anything but fair. And that whole claim that men do better when married is misleading. Sure, a lot of married men step up. They take fewer dumb risks, work hard to support their families, take on big mortgages, and build wealth. That brings long-term stability and assets. But that doesn't mean they're happier or healthier. A lot of the time, It's just constant pressure to provide. And the moment divorce hits, all that supposed benefit vanishes. If you get left at 40, maybe you have time to recover. But if it happens at 55 or 60, when you're close to retirement and half your net worth is gone, it's a direct path to ruin. It's no coincidence that divorce is one of the top 3 causes of male bankruptcy in the US. Thousands of older men end up broke, homeless, and buried in debt while their ex starts over fresh.
Women.
All right, ladies, if you're a stay-at-home mom and your backup plan in case of divorce is your ex-husband is going to pay alimony and child support, listen up. When I filed for divorce for my ex-husband, he was making over $200,000 a year. I kicked him out in October of 2018. He paid me nothing. Nothing. I didn't get anything from him until May of 2019, when the judge issued an emergency order for support. And the court then did a wage garnishment with his employer, which was our family windshield business. So in May of 2019, there was a one-time garnishment of Jake's wages for $3,600. That was the only check that I would ever get in that amount. Because I was months behind in rent, all of that check went to back rent, groceries, gas, and it kept me from being evicted for just a couple more months. I have received affidavits from my family members who run the windshield business who were involved in this, as well as a couple of employees. The day after Jake's wages got garnished for that $3,600, he began telling people inside of the company, there's about 300 employees, that he was going to get fired. If you quit your job, that's different than if you get fired. So 2 days after the only time that Jake's wages were ever garnished, he went into work that day, got into a huge fight with the main owner of our family business, who's a family member, right in front of all of the employees, told him to fuck off, called him a fucking pussy. I have this in affidavits. Got all crazy. He was like pushing chairs around and stuff. So that family member had to fire him on the spot. By the way, in the history of Jake, he'd never ever done anything like that at work. It was completely unprecedented. Jake then collected unemployment in 2 states because he filed both in Utah and in Arizona. And that prevented him from having any further wage garnishments. In August, he got his amount that he pays reduced by $1,000 because he didn't have a job. And when we were in court last week, he submitted papers saying that he earns between $1,400 and $1,700 a month. As a grown-ass man with no disabilities, with a career history of 6 figures, living with his wife in her house with a car payment of $160. By the way, he's taken 3 or 4 ski trips this year. He has a brand new Harley. In one of his financial affidavits, he showed that he spent more in alcohol one month than my rent. And I have full custody of the kids. And when the commissioner last week in court asked him how he gets paid and why he doesn't have pay stubs, he said, most of my customers just pay me cash or Zelle. He had his mom, who has Alzheimer's, move in with him for a year to avoid working at all. And the month that the judge said that he didn't have to work that year because of his mom, he put her in a nursing home in Texas.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
In short, you tried to screw him over, and he ended up screwing you. She paints him as the bad guy, but you kicked him out of his house, kept the kids, you're getting child support. Yet you still wanted $3,600 a month from his paycheck. You literally tried to ruin him. If you had been a smarter and less greedy woman, you wouldn't have destroyed your ex-husband. This is where women mess up, maybe out of hate or envy. Think about it. You already walk away with half his savings. You're getting child support, which, with that kind of income and 3 kids, is a lot of money. You got the house and the car. Why push for alimony too? Let the man recover. Let him keep making money and get back on his feet. In the end, what he builds will benefit your kids. He might even help more by being financially stable than by being drained. But she doesn't think like that. She just wants more and more, until the guy finally says, all right, if you're gonna screw me, then we both go down. And that's exactly what your ex-husband did. Now he earns under-the-table cash, lives with less. Your kids won't get anything extra from him. You won't see a dime. And he might even get the child support reduced. That's what happens when you keep pushing and pushing against a man. You ended up being the one who lost.
So if you're married for 26 years, you would get alimony for 19 years. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In Florida, the law now says on alimony, if you're married for 20 years or longer, the recipient spouse is entitled to 75% of the term of the marriage in alimony. Now, the first factor in a determination of alimony is need and ability to pay. But once you get past that hurdle, assume that there is a need and there is an ability to pay, the maximum term of the alimony is 75% of the marriage. So if you're married for 26 years, you would be entitled to alimony for 19 years. And guess what? It used to be permanent if you were married for that length of time in Florida.
She will eventually get support, but right now they have not come to any agreement. So he is a lawyer. He knows the court system really well. She is paying for a lawyer. Obviously, that's very expensive. He's not stupid. So he keeps filing continuations, like doing whatever he can to stretch the process out until she runs out of money to pay for her lawyer and can't argue anymore. So he wants her to agree to a lower amount than she deserves. So his goal is make her run out of money until she finally says, okay, fine, because he doesn't have to pay a penny until that divorce decree is signed. So she's screwed. I mean, she will get support. Yes, she will get support. But until that point, she gets absolutely nothing. And again, she's the one stuck with the kids. So she cannot work, essentially. She's raising her children.
I'll say it again. If you're the one asking for the divorce, you don't deserve to get alimony. No one should have to financially support someone they're no longer in a relationship with. Kids are a different matter. They're your responsibility. You have to support them, but that doesn't mean being a slave to your ex. I'll never blame a man for protecting himself from that. That's why, if you make the dumb decision to get married, get a prenup that clearly states there will be no alimony. There are women out there making more from alimony than what some people earn renting out a property. Imagine supporting someone for 19 years who's no longer with you. Many of them won't even remarry. They just stay in casual relationships so they can keep collecting that money. It's not fair.
Do people not understand how alimony works? Do you not understand the sacrifices that women, particularly stay-at-home moms, make when they are staying home to raise the children? That is years of being out of the workforce, of being out of a profession. You expect her to try to find a job when she has no work experience for X amount of years. How do you think that would work for you if you had 5 to 7 years of a gap in your employment and you went to apply for a job within your previous professional niche and they were like, yeah, no, that's not gonna work. And before you say like, oh, it doesn't have to be like a professional career or corporate job. You could go work at Lowe's or McDonald's. Work at McDonald's or Lowe's and then also take care and be the main custodial parent for your children on that wage? Come on. Alimony is here to protect women in these instances when they have been no earner or a lower wage earner than their spouse for any duration of their marriage. And a lot of times that is for stay-at-home moms who have been out of the workforce again, remember this, for X amount of years. And now their entire financial net has been taken away from them, but yet they're still the main custodial parent. So they are still supposed to just go on with life, living it in the same way that they did when they were married, but without the finances, without the financial support. Like, do you understand what kind of position that puts someone in? Particularly the woman, because she has historically and statistically been the one who has stayed at home to forego any type of career development or furthering of her profession. She has stayed home to care for the children that you two had together in order for you to advance your career. And now you expect her to just go out after, again, let's say 5 to 7 years of not being employed and find a job that actually pays good enough for her to live off of? Not to mention if she still has kids in daycare, because the cost of daycare is astronomical. So then if she can't afford daycare, then she can't afford to work. What do you expect her to do?
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Always the same victim narrative. the poor housewife who sacrificed her career for the kids. But let's stick to the facts, brothers. There are thousands of single, professional women who've worked for decades and still end up worse off financially and in quality of life than many married women, even those who never worked outside the home. Marriage isn't just about money. Studies show single women suffer more from depression, worse mental and physical health, take more antidepressants, and achieve fewer personal goals compared to married women. What guarantees that having work experience will save you? Nothing. I know professional men who've been chronically unemployed and women over 40 who can't get hired anywhere because of their age. But if that woman had a husband and kids, who would take care of her in old age or during illness? Exactly, the family. Meanwhile, the independent single woman ends up alone with cats and therapy. How many marriages start with both partners working, and then the woman loses her job or decides to stop looking, and the man supports her for 5, 10, 20 years without complaining, sometimes until death. Now flip the roles. If he loses his job and she has to support him, fast-track divorce in a few months, and he's out of
Nights when I can't find a place to sleep are nights that I don't feel okay. It's nights when I kick myself in the butt for just wasting a quarter tank of gas to get out to the campsites that were all full. It's nights that I don't feel safe knowing that I'll probably have to camp illegally, like on the side of some road. They're nights that I feel terrible that this little man lives in a Kia Sportage and not in a house and not at a campsite where he can roam freely. There are nights that I feel like a failure and like a wreck and like nothing is ever going to be normal again. But there are also the nights that give me these views and remind me that nothing is ever easy, but it always works out in the end.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
I haven't showered in like a week, and low-key, I feel disgusting, so come shower with me in the Grand Tetons National Park. I've actually never showered in National Park before, but it's only $5, so let's go see how it is.
Okay, here's what the shower room looks like. The shower doesn't look too bad, not super dirty. I will say the shower head is not that great looking, but whatever. And then I went in and I got some coins. I got $5 worth of coins for 7 minutes. So let's see if it's hot. Okay, shower is done. It was not bad. I actually got pretty much everything I needed to get done in 7 minutes, so that was good. And thankfully they had like a getting ready area, and I love that it's in a private shower. I'm so sick of the dorm style like showers, the locker rooms. They drive me insane. I just want a peaceful shower by myself. But yeah, here's my deodorant that I put on. It's like a crystal stick. So I'm just doing my skincare right now. I'm gonna put some oil on my legs because I shaved. But yeah, I feel so much better, especially after that hike. That like made me feel gross and my hair just felt like nasty. So yeah, I'm really happy that I did this.
Brothers, take a look at one of feminism's accomplishments. You'll never convince me that living like this is better than having a stable relationship between two people working together to move forward as a family. That woman hasn't showered in a week. You can imagine the smell she's carrying. If you look at those 3 women, they're not unattractive to the point of not being able to have a man by their side. But today, women have been sold the idea of being strong and independent, that they don't need any man. The reality is that many of these empowered women end up just like this. That's why when I hear a woman say she gave her best years to a man who gave her a home, a comfortable life, a family, who didn't make her work through her entire adult life, and she ended up living like a decent middle-class person, I wish she could see these videos of women who didn't have the economic stability of a good husband and whose own efforts ultimately led nowhere. Then we see feminist women complaining about traditional men who just want a decent life, the way God intended.
Women. Hey guys, I'm Jack and I live out of my car, and I get a lot of comments wondering as to why I'm living out of my car and what my story of what brought me here. Honestly, I've shared this story before. This is the shortened version of the story of why I'm homeless and why I'm continuing to be living out of my car. It was just a bunch of unfortunate events that happened back to back. I was living at home with my mom at the time. However, those apartments were very old and not taken care of, so they collapsed and then they kicked us out. The landlord that bought them provided us with the hotel room for all of us to live in. As you can imagine, 8 people in one room did not work out well. A month after that, I was in an accident and my car got totaled, and I had no means of transportation for my son and I. And there was absolutely no way that I could get him to school and back into my job. Dad and I made the decision that he was going to go live with him. His father lives 2 hours away. I couldn't see my son because I didn't have a car. There was no way that I can travel to see him. And my mental state was deteriorating little by little. I acquired quite a bit of debt because I would use my credit card for everything that my son wanted, everything that I may needed. After I had lost my job, and that was a whole nother issue because I lost my main source of income and there was just like nothing that I can really do. For whatever reason, I couldn't find a job. Besides the family problems that were going on as well, I just didn't have any money. I knew that there was no way that I can continue paying rent, and I made the decision to live out of my car. Honestly, wanted to get any job that I could. And I started applying everywhere, and I got a job in a whole different city. Honestly, that job kickstarted everything that I needed it to kickstart. Now, I'm choosing to live out of my car, not only finish paying off my debt, but to also save money to be able to get an apartment for my son and I. Because a lot of people think for some reason that I abandoned my son. You can judge all you want, but I never abandoned my son and I'm never going to. Now, I'm giving myself a 4-month goal. So by the end of this year, I am hoping that I reach and I will. I know I am. If you guys want to be part of my journey, that would be so great. I love having you guys here. I love the community that we've built here because everyone here is so sweet. I love that there's no hate. I love that there's no negativity. And that's what I strive for everyone to be. So I got 4 months to finish paying off my debt and save enough money to be able to get an apartment. After that, I am very much hoping that I can, settle down. Car life is cool, and I do recommend anyone to do it if you do want to save money. But me being a mother, I don't think I could take doing car life any much longer than the end of this year. I would want to buy an RV and then travel with my son. I think that'd be so great, but that would be in the future. And I'm very, very excited to see how that plays out. I'm doing this for my son. At this point, nothing can stop me from accomplishing this. But that is the shortened version, but not really because I hella yeah. But yeah, thank you guys so much.
Look at the clear pattern. A young woman, cow ring, chaotic life, and a single mother. You can smell the radical feminism from a mile away. Brothers, one of the biggest mistakes many women make is rejecting stable relationships. Just imagine the trauma for a child knowing his mother sleeps in a car instead of a safe home. And for her, the dangers, the filth, the stress of living a nomadic life. If any woman sees this, tell me how the hell this so-called independence is better than a solid marriage with a man who provides. But she's still young. In the next video, we'll look at her daily routine and another one who's hit the wall, past 35, to see how a lot of these empowered women end up.
Welcome to a day in the life as someone living in their car. We kind of start bright and early, try to wake up around 6 in the morning to 7. And these are my shoes that are just outside. This is what my car looks like in the morning. Freaking Snorlax, fat ass, still sleeping. I tidy up a bit and then I just get ready in the car. I've been doing this for about a month now, and I think that I'm finally learning to accept what it happened. It wasn't a decision that I planned on making, but it was something that I knew was bound to happen sooner or later. But regardless, I guess it was my decision at the end. It's still something that I'm adjusting to, but something that I am a lot more comfortable with. Okay, next is the gym, and we enjoy some music on our way there. The gym is also something I've been slacking, but today is quad, and here I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't even stand up. I had a short workout because I wasn't feeling it, so next is the shower. And I don't know about y'all gyms, but my gym's water is cold as a fuck. Y'all, I'm holding this and it shows because this is exactly what I look like walking out of the gym. They say it was a really good day, so I took my breakfast out and sat at the park bench. But these pancakes... Anyways, there was mad people at the park, so instead I went inside the car and did my nails. Can you guess the color? Yup, black like my soul. Today I worked, so right before that, I went to fill up my water jug. I have to bungee cord this or else I'll be flopping around everywhere in the car. Once I park, Kuromi and Snorlax guard the fort, and I take all my shit. Then I'd just be hella working, and surprise, surprise, I changed my hairstyle. I was pretty beat at the end of the day, so I'm just walking to my car and I get ready for bed. It's time to go to sleep. I have a big old mess because I just did my lashes right now. As you can tell, I don't know if you can tell. But thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for coming along. Have a good one. Bye.
I've been living in my car since early July. And a lot of people have asked me, like, how much money have you saved? You have to be saving a shit ton of money because you're not paying rent. And to be perfectly honest, I have not saved a ton of money. That wasn't the point of this, to limit myself in a different way. You know, when I was renting, all of my money was going to rent. It's not like I wanted to move into my car and then limit myself in the exact same way and put all of that money to save. That was not the purpose here. What I have done is go to the doctor. Like, go to the doctor for anything that I need and pay my copays and not worry when insurance doesn't cover it 100% because I have money to pay the rest. Eaten really good meals. I've camped at beautiful campgrounds that I've always wanted to camp at, just didn't have the extra money to do it. Able to afford my dog getting better food, better treats, healthier options. I've driven to see friends that I haven't seen in a long time because now I have the gas money to do it. So yes, I do have a small amount of money that I've set aside for emergencies. But the point of all of this was not for me to just be miserable in my car while saving all of this money for some future date to where I wouldn't even maybe live to that point. Who fucking knows? The point of this was for me to remove the weight off my shoulders that I was feeling by paying all of this money, tens of thousands of dollars to corporations that I just fucking hate. And so I have now been able to spend that money in ways that bring me joy, and that take care of me and my dog and the people that I love. And that's good enough for me.
Stop it. Get some help.
Look at this last one. A woman well past 35 who looks like she could have been a mother or a traditional housewife, now sleeping in a car with her dog as her only companion. The great achievement of modern feminism, convincing them that a stable family life is oppression and that they can do it all alone. The result? Independence that ends in a reclined seat and nights filled with fear. Give it 2 more years, and her back won't be able to handle sleeping curled up anymore. A bad mattress already hurts. Now imagine a car. And let's not even talk about the constant stress. Will some creep, a thief, or something worse show up at night? Total vulnerability. Then those same voices say, I won't settle for an average man. But many of them can't even achieve an average life on their own. No stable home, no security, no peace. I'm not mocking their pain. Brothers, it's sad to see how an ideology sells dreams that end in real-life nightmares.
I live in my van full time, and today I wanted to show you what it's like to live in a van during a winter storm in Michigan. And last night, the storm was pretty bad. High winds, downpour of snow for hours. And so what I like to do is kind of hunker down and read a good book or a magazine. That night I read a magazine. And then I just kind of stared out at the snow because the snow is beautiful and relaxing to look at. And that's what I did. And also I lit a good candle, just kind of set the mood and the ambiance just to relax me a little bit more. And then by 8:30 that night, the snow was just downpouring even more. It was like a whiteout outside. And so what I typically like to do during snowstorms is keep my vehicle clean of snow, take the snow off the windows so that in the morning, I don't have to get 4 or 5 inches of snow off my van. And as you can see, the high winds, the snow was just coming down. But I got to do my due diligence to ensure that I'm safe. I made dinner afterwards, had a couple bites, and then I went to bed early. Thanks for watching.
Okay, let's talk about mental health and living in a car. I am struggling pretty dang hard right now. Please stick with me until the end. I have some really good advice. I am not here to encourage people to live in their cars. I'm here to encourage people to do what's best for them. Mental health is the number one thing that I want to help in this situation. For one, if you have to live in your car, make sure that you have a goal. Know when to start and you know when to stop. 2, keeping an organized space is going to help you out significantly. 3, keep up with your hygiene. Brush your teeth and wash yourself
every day if you can. 4, making sure that you are staying physically active. Be outside in nature. Nature is free and it is gorgeous. 5, staying sober. Staying sober helps immensely. You don't want to be out in your car or wherever under any influence. And lastly, find a good community that'll help you to achieve your goals. You do not want to stay in your car forever. Find some good people until then. I really hope this helps. If you are debating on doing this, really weigh out your pros and cons if you have that option.
Look at what I always tell you, brothers. Young women, at the perfect age to marry, attractive and with the potential to be great wives and mothers, ending up alone in a van, battling mental health issues, snowstorms, and giving out survival tips for living in a car. This girl likely rejects marriage or stable relationships because she never saw it at home. I'd bet she grew up without a present father or with a single mom, without a real family model. We used to raise women to be the pillars of the home, dedicated mothers, loyal wives, building stability together. Today, they're sold the ideas of total independence and I can do it all alone. The result? Depression in a vehicle, poor hygiene, fearful nights, and chronic loneliness. A sad ending for someone who could have had a warm home and a family. Married women, don't be fooled by those who preach a husband is a burden and being alone is freedom. When life hits you, illness, crisis, no one reaches out like a faithful husband. Your family won't take care of you, and you end up without a support system. This is living proof. Without a father or a traditional model, many end up like this, empowered but broken.
I think the hardest thing about living in my car has to be, letting people know that I have nowhere else to go. They'll ask me questions like, you don't have a single family member you can turn to. And I would say things like, my aunt is a registered nurse and she lied about giving me medication that would have saved my life, that would have kept me inside the house. And then I had another cousin, after I was aunt's planned negligence, tell another cousin to watch out for me because I'm crazy. Don't hang around her because she's crazy. And then I had that cousin only hang around me to be an informant on what was going on to see if I was actually crazy or not. To only have her boyfriend's friend try to make a sexual advance towards me. And then when I made a big deal about it, then it was a big deal. And all of a sudden she was no longer a cool cousin towards me. So she was never a cool cousin towards me from the beginning. She was just an informant. She just wanted to be close enough so she could have a relevant information to go back and report to everybody on how I act. My family has not shown that I am safe around them in any capacity. So I stay in my car because I'm trying so hard to get on my own 2 feet, but it is extremely difficult to do. With the diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder and the legal inability to get a job. I am 35 years old and I received Social Security. I can no longer work. So I don't know what I'm going to do. My feet are swelling up again and I am running out of money. So I don't know what I'm going to do. But I have food and shelter today, so I'm just going to keep showing up. So I apologize if I'm not in the best mood. I am struggling really bad.
This is one of the most serious problems affecting these people, shattered mental health. Remember, women are the biggest consumers of antidepressants, the ones who fill up therapy sessions the most, and as Jordan Peterson says, they tend to be more neurotic. Their emotions hit them harder and deeper. A UCLA study on vehicular homelessness, people living in cars, vans, or RVs, found that those living in vehicles are more likely to be women, compared to the general homeless population sleeping in tents, makeshift shelters, or public spaces. In the sample analyzed, 46% of those living in vehicles were women versus just 26% among the homeless not living in vehicles. Translation: independence is pushing them into cars, not into marriage. Look at this 35-year-old woman, schizoaffective, swollen feet, no chance of holding a job, alone in her car with no family to support her. She probably cries every night, trying not to fall apart. This used to be rare in women. They were married, protected by strong family bonds during hard times. Today, feminism sells the idea that being alone is better, and this is how it ends: sick, vulnerable, and without any real support system. Brothers, the wall does not forgive.
So 70% of divorces are initiated by women. Let's sit with that for a second. If 70% of employees walked out in a company, would you blame the workers? Or would you ask, what's going on with leadership? Women aren't leaving marriages for fun. That's not fun. They're leaving because they're exhausted, disappointed, and done being lied to. Therapists and researchers point out the same patterns: lack of emotional connection, no real friendship, no intimacy, just a roommate with entitlement issues. And the mental load? All hers. Doctor's appointments, school emails, grocery lists, plus managing everyone's emotions like a second unpaid job. She didn't sign up to be his mother. Let's be clear. Women aren't tolerating abuse anymore. Bottom line. And yes, abuse isn't always bruises. It can be threats, name-calling, manipulation, and control. Let's not forget coercion. Here's what stands out the most. After divorce, half of women never remarry. They're good. They're free. They're healing and glowing. Meanwhile, about 70% of men get remarried. Why? Because marriage benefits men. Men live longer in marriage. They earn more. They've got someone running the household. For women, marriage often means unpaid labor, more cooking, more cleaning, more laundry, and less time, less peace, and less time for herself. The stats really tell the story. Only 27% of women regret divorce, compared to the 39% of men. That says everything. The truth? Marriage, the way it's structured right now, isn't working for women anymore, especially when men aren't taught how to regulate their emotions, connect deeply, or lead with empathy. So before you start blaming women for walking away, maybe ask why marriage has become such a bad deal for her and such a sweet gig for him. But that's just my take. What's yours?
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
If marriage were such a bad deal for them, why don't they like living in common law relationships? What's destroying marriages is the incentives to divorce. The ability to file for no-fault divorce and still collect those incentives. The lack of accountability on the part of women. Just take a look. All the laws passed these days to benefit women are never equal. They're always designed so she doesn't have to take on any responsibility. If she wants a divorce, she doesn't have to explain why she filed. No accountability. If she wants to have an abortion, even if the father wants the child, she doesn't have to be responsible. She can just go through with it. But the man, can he just walk away from responsibility? Can a man file for divorce and just leave a woman like that? No, he can't. Because the government forces him to leave her with half his assets and, in the worst-case scenario, continue paying child support even though he's no longer with her. Simply put, responsibility is kryptonite for women.
Just a reminder to the married women that are miserable right now, divorce is an option, and it's not the end of the fucking world. Matter of fact, not only is it not the end of the world, it's probably the start of your new life, a life that you never thought was possible, a life that you kind of only dreamed of. Because when you finally say, fuck it, I don't care what people think about me, I don't care what people say about me, I can't do this anymore, I can't live like this anymore, and you choose yourself, you realize how small those voices are anyway. They're just little whispers in the wind while you're out there frolicking, having the most fun of your life. So if you're in a miserable marriage and you think about divorce regularly, go ahead and do it. You will not regret it. The thing that you'll regret is staying in that marriage longer than you wanted to and giving him years and years and years that should have been yours. So if you are on the fence, if you're thinking about it, I am living proof to tell you, you can get out, you can make it, and you can be happier than you ever fucking dreamed possible. I got 4 kids. One of them is disabled. She's got congenital heart disease. She's had 4 open heart surgeries. If you want it bad enough, you can get it.
Fuck up, you crazy bitch whore!
Marriage actually made sense. It meant social status, building wealth, and family stability. The man went out and worked hard to provide, while the woman managed the home, the assets, and raised healthy heirs. Together, they built up real value: a house, savings, a secure future. In 10 to 20 years, you could see real progress in their life and in their bank account. Today, that's flipped. More men end up bankrupt after divorce than coming out ahead, paying for life over a decision she made on her own. Take a look at this woman. She sells empowerment and a new life in her videos. But her whole channel is poison aimed at her ex. She destroyed the family on a whim, with 4 kids involved, one with a serious disability. And the result? He remarried a younger woman, lives happily in the same house they built together, and the kids prefer being with their dad. Why is that, brothers? Because she's toxic and unbearable, and even the kids picked up on it. That so-called liberating divorce came at a high price, real loneliness and pure karma.
Women.
What questions are we answering today? I'm so glad you didn't ask. What are the benefits of having a wife in today's society? Why are 80% of divorces initiated by women? How come women don't want to be wives anymore? So since y'all keep throwing this around on the internet, we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about it for real. I'm not pulling no punches. I'm going to shoot straight from the hip. I'm going to tell you the truth. It's not that we don't want to be wives anymore. Marriage was always the goal. It's that we want to be husbands. That's right. We want to be husbands. You want to know why? Because husband privileges are lit, but wife duties at present in America, oh, I know you guys absolutely love taking offense to any logical point that I make while listening to some $1 million podcaster who's built like a Greek god, dates supermodels, and drives a Lambo. But why you're listening to a man who's never walked a mile in your shoes is a little bit befoozling. These men are out of touch with reality. They don't know the day-to-day in 80% of American households. And on the off chance they ever did decide to get married, their wife would have a nanny, a secretary, a maid, a personal chef. And if she didn't, she'd have nothing but time to dote on her husband's every single whim. So some alpha male red pill podcaster jamming down your throat that your wife isn't submissive enough or feminism is the problem is a little bit absurd. At present, all Americans have to work. We have to work to survive. Case in point, you can't even kick your adult kids out anymore. They don't stand a fighting chance in this economy. If you are of adult age, you have to work. You have to contribute. And being a wife and an employee is a conundrum that a lot of husbands just aren't registering to date. Now, let's not get it confused, because I know what you're thinking when I say we want husband privileges. That means you think that we can now have a cage fight and we're equally yoked, because that's feminism to you. But no, I mean, like, you know how nice it would be to come home to a cooked dinner and a clean house after a long day of work, hand my check off to somebody else, let them worry about the bills, tinker in the garage while the kids run amok, and, you know, my wife corrals them, spend a Sunday drinking beer and watching TV while somebody else cooks and cleans, have my socks matched, my laundry done and put away. I didn't have to do that. My coffee ready in the morning. Like, all of the above sounds amazing. Sign me up. Even if it's not all the time, even if it's only 25% of the time, maybe 40% if we're being generous, right? But husband privileges are lit while wife duties are insane. You know, the reality for a lot of married working mothers is that they have to do all of the above while still working 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week at a job they hate, with a bunch of other married men who sweetie honey baby them or sexually harass them until their head is ready to explode, just so they can go home at night and still have to cook, clean, and do laundry, all while maintaining a look, diet, exercise, hair, and nails, because God forbid you let yourself go for a second. Then you're not really a woman. You're not feminine anymore, all while attending to everybody's administrative affairs and oddities, school pictures, choir recitals, gymnastics, karate, football practice, football games, football snacks that you gotta hand decorate, because if you don't, you're the worst mother on the team.
Oh, hell no!
This kind of talk, the first thing that comes to mind is, what exactly did you expect when you got married? To just lie in bed, hit the gym, eat, and take dumps? You were going to have a man working 8 to 10 hours a day to cover all your expenses while you just sat back and enjoyed life without lifting a finger? But notice, this woman is still pushing the 1980s stereotype of marriage. The reality is, most modern men already know they have to help at home. And not just that. If both partners are working, they're splitting most of the household chores. That whole idea of a man sitting on the couch all Sunday watching TV, that's more fiction than fact. Who mows the lawn? Who maintains the cars? Do you even know how many things a man has to take care of? And that's not even counting if there are kids. Who takes them to school? Who picks them up? If you married a man who doesn't do anything, that's on you. But don't paint that as the norm. And we're still talking about cases where both partners work. Because when she's a stay-at-home wife, it's not like she's doing chores 24/7. especially when the kids are at school and the husband's at work 8 hours a day. What they have the most of is time. But let's keep going.
You got to take them to doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, optometrist appointments, emergency room visits, sick visits that you have to take off of work for and your male boss just doesn't understand, all while restocking all of the toiletries, groceries, cleaning supplies, clipping coupons, and going to parent-teacher conferences, tending to everybody's sick days except your own, because apparently being an adult woman means you just don't get sick. Or if you do, absolutely nobody cares. And majority of married working mothers are citing that they are single mothers. They are single married mothers. And the saddest part about all of this, which I know you guys see, you have eyes, you have brains, you love throwing around the fact that 80% of divorces filed are by women. Yes, when women are leaving, it's not for infidelity or money issues or even abuse for that matter. It is simply because they need a break. They need a break. That is the primary reason that most divorce attorneys are citing that women at present are filing for divorce. They are throwing their entire marriage away just so they can get a break. And I really just want you guys to register the magnitude of that last statement. They're throwing out a lifetime commitment just so they can get a break. So before you ever ask, what are the benefits of having a wife, or telling a woman you're going to die alone, get cats, sir, I'm pretty sure that's the point, right? Because all I got to do is scoop the litter and leave a can of food out. It's hassle-free cuddles and companionship. Like, in the event of divorce, even if the father only gets the children every other weekend, that is 4 days out of the month of uninterrupted downtime. No working, no children, no nothing, okay? You could sleep in, you could shop, you could clean without having to immediately clean afterwards. You could date again. Yeah, that's right. Have a date night with somebody who does want to romance you or maybe appreciates your sense of humor a little bit. It is about being a fucking human. And here's what really bothers me the absolute most about it is the cycle. It's the cycle that nobody acknowledges from both parties, right? Majority of men don't realize how much of a blessing having a wife is until they lose her. And even then, they don't acknowledge it. They become bitter and angry, and they say they feel unseen and unheard. And this is the energy exchange that happens when divorce takes place, right? The women spent the entire marriage feeling angry and bitter and unseen and unheard. And when they leave, guess what? It's the man's turn. Now he's out there thinking his ex-wife is getting her groove back because she dropped 30 pounds and looks amazing. In reality, she just finally has uninterrupted downtime to take a nap or make it to the gym. Meanwhile, he's tuning into some billionaire playboy who's giving him something to point the finger at. Also, he can dodge accountability. Women don't take accountability. It's feminism. It's feminism's fault, right? And feminism, sir, did not ruin your marriage. You did. Okay, feminism gave your wife the legal ability to leave when it all went to shit and she couldn't take it anymore. And guess what? She's out there dating recent divorcees that feel exactly the same way you do. They just pretend they don't. So they can get back the wife that they lost in another woman. So why don't we just skip all the rigmarole and acknowledge the elephant in the room, right? Traditional roles have been abolished. It is what it is. You could shake your hands at feminism and capitalism until you're blue in the face. You can stomp around and pout. You can listen to all the red pill podcasts and fifth wave feminism that you want. Unless you got a time machine we can all hop in, it's going to be what it's going to be. Wives are no longer wives. Husbands are no longer husbands. A spouse's job is to be a good partner. And there is benefits in that for everybody. Be present, participate, and be a good partner. And for the love of fucking God, shut up about it already. Fuck off.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I actually like this kind of feminist discourse because, like I always say, it's just more evading of responsibility. I've got several divorced friends who are living way better now than they ever did while married. A lot of them were putting up with daily hell at home, constant nagging, not a single day of peace. They had to grind hard at work, provide everything, be involved with the kids, cater to their wife's every whim without a word of complaint. And yeah, divorce hits the wallet hard at first. But once they process the hit, they realize Not seeing the kids 4 days a week hurts, sure, but having a simple space to clean, free time to hit the gym, dressing how they want, and watching how their money stretches when it's only covering their own needs. Boom! They double their income, build wealth, and start dating fresh women. And guess who starts becoming a problem again? The ex, because she sees her ex-husband looking better, more alive, more energized than he ever did while tied to her. That's the great thing about being a man. Take the initial blow, regain control of your time, focus on yourself, and you'll come back stronger, more successful, and freer. You couldn't pay me to go back to that old life of invisible chains.
60 to 70% of divorces are initiated by women after the age of 40. Let that hit you in the face. Women are straight up dumping their husbands once the kids are grown and the hormones start doing backflips and cartwheels. This is the latest data. Women initiate about 69% of divorces, and among couples over 50, that gray divorce, that number stays roughly the same, around 66 to 70%. And in many cases, men are blindsided while the woman was emotionally checked out long before the papers were filed. Why? Here's the brutal truth. The first reason is she is done with your If you stopped taking her on dates, stopped taking care of yourself, came home, grabbed the phone, cracked the beer, ate the chips, and zoned out on the game while she handled the house, the kids, the emotions, everything, she's over it. You became her roommate with a friggin' pulse. She's tired of being your maid and or your mom, and she knows that she deserves better. The second reason, if you married her at 22, what did you expect to happen 30 years later? She's a completely different person. New passions, new confidence, new boundaries. If you did not grow with her, if you stayed stuck in the same habits, you weren't improving yourself, your sex game went stale, you stopped being adventurous, she got bored. She evolved and you didn't. And she's not settling for that old version of you anymore. Third reason is menopause. That's the final straw. Her hormones flip, her tolerance crashes, every ignored problem explodes. And if you are not helping her level her hormones, she's gone. And the fourth reason, she's got her own money. She's also have her own friends and her own life. And you let her work like a man, just like you. And then why would she depend on you anymore? She was a wife, a mom, and busting her ass, working full time every day for years. She carried it all. Now she's fried. No more staying for the kids or the mortgage. She's gone. Here's a little bit of more data for you. Post-divorce, only 27% of women regret it. Men, 39% do. So more women are happy that they chose to divorce versus the ones who didn't. And here's some instruction for you. Don't marry young and clueless. Date long. Grow together. Step up every day. Dates, effort, self-care, adventure, intimacy, and polarity. And communicate. Evolve. Talk and be honest with her. Or watch her walk away once she hits 40.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Or simply put, brothers, learn to be a little selfish in the good way. The harsh truth is that women initiate 70 to 80% of divorces, often out of pure, impulsive selfishness. Even if you do everything right at home, provide stability, and stay committed, they'll leave over vague, emotional reasons like wanting to relive their teenage years, party, and chase freedom without responsibility. Having a home, kids, and a steady commitment is kryptonite for many. They'd rather chase drama and novelty than grow up. That's why I keep saying, be selfish with yourself. A lot of men let themselves go in marriage. They stop hitting the gym, neglect their mental health, stop investing in their appearance, their haircut, their style. They stop going out with friends or taking their wife on real dates. Big mistake. When you stay sharp, physically fit, mentally strong, socially active, she feels proud to be with you, competes for your attention, and values what she has. And the best part? If she still decides to leave, whether it's menopause, boredom, or whatever, you're already bulletproof. Your life is so solid and appealing that you don't fall apart. You bounce back stronger with options and peace. King, never forget, you come first. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. Is it fair for women to initiate 70% of divorces due to exhaustion, when so many men also carry invisible responsibilities without complaining? If marriage is such a bad deal for them, Why don't they go for common law relationships instead of demanding a wedding and then divorcing with all the benefits? If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Your support means a lot to us and keeps us motivated to keep creating more content. Stay tuned for the next episode of The Wall.